Hi YouTube, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty good, not bad. It rained last night. We got quite a bit, which is surprising for this time of year. I've seen it before, but in Minnesota here, but um in March, you know, it's unusual. Usually if we get precipitation, it's snow this time of year, so I'm going to be talking about a couple different things today that are on my mind. One thing, as intelligent as I always considered myself to be, one of my greatest flaws was always my gullibility. I had a propensity to believe what people were telling me. It didn't dawn on me that not everybody wanted to be honest, even if you lied when you were a little kid or whatever. I thought people grew out of that, and so I've been laughed at in my life for my gullibility quite a few times. I'll be talking about that, and then another thing I'd like to talk about, I'm going to share uh, I'm going to put it in the description here, from a electronic channel called The Rare Gems, and they're talking about childhood trauma of the Sigma females that nobody talks about. This goes both ways, no matter the gender, and Sigma just means like you're not loud like the alpha, you're not a follower like the beta, you're just doing your own thing, So, but if you had like emotional or neglect and physical abuse or different traumas in your life, this might be a good avenue for a deeper understanding about the human psyche and how it can kind of help calm you down. Just bringing understanding to what's going on inside of another human being sometimes is enough to say, well, um, okay, I don't want to be like this, but I can understand how somebody is like that, how they weren't strong enough to help themselves out of maybe even a similar situation if you had a sibling that was raised like the same way or whatever, or you see what I mean. So, but then too, I saw another part of that. Um, well, sorta. This is maybe a entirely separate issue, but I shared a meme in my community, and it's talking about the wolf. And a lot of times you hear people like the lone wolf, and yeah, that could be a female too, which is very rare. Usually it's the male that's the lone wolf for the reason until mating time he doesn't have a mate. He might have been the um, beta male in a group, and that didn't sit right with him in the pack. So he went off on his own to become the alpha. Well, this meme that I shared is talking about the fighting unit of the male and the female wolf. And I was thinking how different it is in our society with people. The male wolf will never fight a female wolf. It doesn't happen in the wolf pack. So if somebody considers themselves like a wolf and you have aggression towards females, you're not a wolf because the male wolf will protect his female. See, when they fight, the female gets underneath him, not out of fear, but trusting the strength of her mate, and she's under there to protect his throat. and the underside from the attacks. So they work as a unit like that. But once again, the male wolf never shows aggression towards a female. And so all these men out here saying they're wolves, you're probably a dog, you know, just saying, you know, because a dog will bite a female dog, even in mating, you know. So anyway, I'm going to get back to that gullibility thing here. Boy, that's the narcissist, the player, the user. Your gullibility is the number one thing that they'll use against you. It could be emotional gullibility, you know. Um, like I've had people tell me things and then say, oh, no, I was just kidding, you know. Well, how would I know that if you were lying to me and now you're saying you're just kidding? It wasn't a real conversation. How on earth was I ever supposed to know it wasn't true when it's coming out of somebody's mouth? Well, if you get to know the person, you're going to know that you have to use your instincts in every situation with them because they don't leave you a choice. Then they'll put you in the position where they act like they're loyal to you, and you're wrong for questioning their loyalty. You see what I mean? They can turn that on you too. It's a tactic, big time. I'm just trying to think of little things that these people do so you can get ahead of the game before they try some of these things, because they will, you know. It might sound a little different depending on who it's coming from. It could be somebody at work, it could be your parent or one of your kids, or, you know, or a friend, if you would call that a friend. But if the joke's on you, that's not a friend of yours. They're using your gullibility against you as a tool to control and force you in, or to make you comply to something that is entirely based on a lie. So, yeah. And I've had laughter right in my face, or smirks as they're telling the lies, you know? You ever been around a couple people that are shady, and when they're saying something to you, they both look at each other and they're like smirking, you know? They think they pulled a fast one on you, you know? So, yeah, if I can't even count the amount of times that happened to me. I see the reason I became honest, I could not bear living with anything dishonest in me. I couldn't stand myself going there. So when I was a little kid, even, I was afraid to tell the truth, because if I did, sometimes I'd get really brutalized. Even if I told the truth, be like, come here, tell me the truth, and then bam, 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 you know, it's like, okay. After a while, you kind of are really leery on that honesty. But even through all that, I I just couldn't be like that. And I watched other people around me being dishonest and disloyal, and I it's just not something I aspired to. And then I hear this crap about, and psychologists will say this too, that everybody lies. No, everybody doesn't lie. And the liars are going to be the ones that say everybody lies. There's a good test if you go to get a psychiatrist for you or a psychologist for your child, um, might want to ask them if they think everybody lies before you put your child in the hands of that other human being. That would be a really good question to ask anybody that you're close to, or put your child in the care of that human being, because a liar's capable of doing anything. I found that out. If they lie, they're capable of anything. If they're not capable of lying and they're steadfast, even if it makes them look foolish, if they're telling the truth, that's an honorable thing. You can fix a mistake you face up to. You can never fix something that you're avoiding in life. And if you're using lies to manipulate another person, um, wow, that's about, that's some low vibing shit right there. I can't think of any other way to really say that. Dishonesty. People think that the world is ran on a certain amount of dishonesty. Well, imagine a world where it wasn't ran on that dishonesty, that people faced their woes, woe is me, and then carried on. When you carry something crappy that you've done in your life with you, and you're still a liar, that gives you the capability to continue in them low vibing ways, because you are never facing up to the fact that you're dishonest or they're dishonest. It's not that they're incapable of it, it's that they're self-centered. They feel entitled to lie or manipulate or whatever. They feel better than you. That to them, they're a more expensive human being, worth more than you are. The minute somebody is dishonest with you, they're already telling you how they feel about you, you know? And if they don't consider your feelings in any interaction, they're the ones that are worth less, you know? So, yeah. And it's disrespectable. Respectable. Yeah, that's disrespectful. That's dishonorable, you know? So people can try and normalize untruth. It's not normal. It's not right, you know? It's unacceptable. And then I'll go back a little bit to this childhood trauma and the two different people. We've all had trauma. There's two different people in this world. People that bite it, you bite the bullet and you move on. Okay, you've been injured. And some people try to use what they call their brokenness. The poor me's set in, and they inflict pain on other people with that as an excuse. I had a horrible life, so now I'm going to use my torment to terrorize you because I feel entitled. I feel like I'm a better person and I'm worth more than that, even though I'm being a dishonest, pretending. Even though I'm the liar and you're not, I feel entitled to say whatever I want to say to you whether it's true or not, because you're gullible. You deserve it because you're gullible. In their eyes, that's exactly how they think. I know it's hard to imagine. That's the part in our world where good is called bad and bad is called good, you know? That's pretty clear to me, the times we're in like that, you know? Sure, it's just a playbook, but their playbook is going to come true, truer than they thought it would. They thought it was a book of manipulation, and it ended up being a book of actualities, you know? They really did rewrite it to control people, but that's not the way it's going to turn out. It's being untwisted right now, you know? So, and for the people that can open their heart and souls to other people without fear of being shamed, I mean, if you actually don't care for other people's validation and you can clap for yourself, if you grew up clapping for yourself like I did, I'd do something cool and I'd be like, ta-da, you know? If you can do that, ta-da yourself. Do something cool and pat yourself on the back because nobody else is going to. You know, if you have that type of attitude, nobody can break you. You know, you're all you ever had. And in all reality, whether we make friends or not, we're still going to die with just us. You know, I'm considering that we have a creator that'll be there, you know, but you're still without other human flesh at that moment, you know. So if you look at it like that, that you actually were put here alone, God didn't say everybody's going to clap for you. He probably said you're probably going to be hated by people if you do things like I want you to do them, you know. So, of course, you could be hated by people just if you're a tyrant, you know. And would be would like a mother that wanted um cleanliness and um a structure in their life for their children and education and activity and all the good things, nurturing good food, all the good things that a parent wants for their child, and teaching them a structure of how they can get along in society and that type of thing. If anybody tells you that that would be a bad thing or that you're some kind of tyrant because you have a regulated life that you know produces a healthy family, if you have anybody intervening in there and trying to sway your better judgment within your structure, they're not helping you at all. That's where I'm leery with people talking to little people that are not their parents, you know? I've had some really whacked people in social settings do weird things with my kids, and I just didn't let it go like that. You know, you got to step up sometimes and say, hey, this isn't what's going on here. Maybe you want to raise your kid like that, but you're not going to raise my kid like that, you see? So, and then if you have your kid that doesn't agree with how you raised them, let them go. If they've got a better plan in life, let's see them do it better than you did, you know? Even within struggles that parents will have in life raising children. Um, when they're young, they're not going to look at your struggles. They're too involved in meshed in what's going on in their life. They shouldn't be expected to think like an adult. But when they're an adult, we do expect them to act and behave as like the ladies or gentlemen that we raised. And when they don't um, comply, when they don't, it's not even like a submission. It's shared love. It's honor. It's natural and nurturing each person in that family, you know. So if you have anything else and you have people trying to manipulate you or tell you something you think, say, or do when you know that you're a solid human being like that, um, they're trying to use you, you know. And I tolerated it for some in my life just to see how long they were going to actually, where they were going to go with it. How long would they do this? Where are they going to take this? Is there any hope? You know, there's always hope. But sometimes your peace of mind and the peace in your life that you require to remain healthy, sometimes you have to separate from people that you love with all your heart, you know? And that's not an easy thing to do. But when they're damaging themselves and it ends up damaging you, say if you're on the phone with somebody and they take 2, 3 hours out of your life telling you all their sorrows and acting like they want your consolence or your opinions, but not really even listening to anything you have to say and not really respecting your time. It's more they're using you for a outlet of their um, even aggression at times. If it gets to that point, it's like you have to learn how to unplug the phone or block them, you know, whatever it takes, because it's your sanity at that point that's more important. I mean, I used to get like phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then it would end up with like yelling or just the weirdest shit in the whole world, or people that would call me about one thing, and the next thing I know, I'm in the middle of this drama and this trauma, and I just spent 3 hours of my life not getting paid for my counseling skills, but absorbing somebody else's pain. And I thought to myself, I don't remember one time in my life me calling a relative even and dumping all my sorrows or what happened through that day or that week or the past month or anything on them by way of um, a sounding space. Or you see what I'm trying to say? I never did. I never called anybody and said, you know, like I'm going through this and this is really horrible or what. No, I never told nobody nothing. I went through hard times by myself, and some people had mothers, like you could call your mom and tell her, um, or mother-in-law or whatever. I would never even dream of that. If it was pertaining to her son and he was going through something that I couldn't fix, that'd be one thing, but I'd been put in a position where I'd have mass quantities of all these weird things from people from trauma-based families that got together, so it's not just one family or one side of the family or their combination. It's all of it all at once. And then I still have mine. But and I'm not saying, and even if I tried to, by way of example, say something that I had gone through, it didn't bring a moment of relating or connection. It brought more of the same of what I just got. And so then you find out after a while that you're just a sounding bar. That's what I was looking for. You're not actually a family member or somebody that they really care about. It's just you're being used as free consultation at that time. It's not, you're not important to them because they would be really careful not to lay more sorrows in the lap of a older woman that's already had enough of her own. If when she's learned not to do that to other people, then you have to really think to yourself, who are they? Why are they doing this? What else could I have done with that 3 hours in my life? And you really do. You have to start thinking about yourself sometimes because yeah, people will use your kindness and your gullibility and all that against you. I'll have one more cigarette with you and talk for a bit, but yeah. Isn't that cool though about wolves? And I've been in the position where I actually did defend my spouse, but I rarely get defended. So then after a while, you're like, well, hey, there, big guy, you're on your own, you know. Yeah, unless they can show you that they have strength that they would never use on you. Don't you ever go underneath and protect their throats. You let that other alpha chew it up, for real. If they would bite you, they're not an alpha. They're just a mutt. So, yeah. What if the men in the world who pretend they're lone wolves, what if they actually acted like the wolf pack and protected those females? Isn't that what the world really was? Wasn't it supposed to be like that? I don't think the woman was supposed to be left alone to her own defenses on this planet or used to make children and then just thrown away, like trash. And it happens to men too, but I mean, you know, or the dishonest ones that rope you in. And then things get tough and they're out, they're gone, you know. I honestly, um, I was to the point like when I kicked out the father of my kids, I gave him the opportunity to even live in the other room, never bring any of your hoes to my house, do whatever you want, and be around your children, and we'll make it work, you know? That wasn't even good enough. I still got the bullshit, and finally I just got sick of it. Well, it was pretty brutal too, and when he punched my oldest son in his head and my kid hit the ground, I wanted him dead, and I kept thinking, I'd look at my knife drawer and I kept thinking, and finally, it was like a day or so after that, he had been gone and came back, and I couldn't stand anymore. I kicked him backwards into the sink. I jumped on him and I was choking him, and then I let him go. And then I made plans. That was like waited till in the middle of the night until he was inebriated, and I stomped and broke his leg and threw him out the door with his suitcase and my car keys at his head. Then I put knives in the door so he couldn't come in and brutalize me. I didn't call my mommy and tell her I was being brutalized or anything. I didn't have anybody to tell. And if I had called the police like I had one other time, I ended up getting a ticket because I wouldn't keep my mouth closed. But I did not start an altercation and I was being blamed for it, that type of thing. So, yeah. Anyway, that was a while ago, you know. I probably wouldn't do the, I probably wouldn't approach that. I said, well, what I said, I was so, I was working, paying for my house. I'm up all night long, cleaning the house, taking the care of the kids, doing it all over again for the next day with no participation or money coming in from a deadbeat that spent all his time doing whatever, pretending to work and draining our bank account that was a joint account for the business that I ran. And, um, well, anyway, let me get back. Okay, so he was being loud, and then he went. Okay, so he was being loud. The cops came. He crawled on his hands and knees down the hallway and went in the bedroom and pretended like he had been quiet the whole time. So I'm thinking, you sneak. So I sat out on my steps. I'm talking to the cop. There's two of them. And I said to him, I said, why don't you just pull out your 357 and blow me away? I was so, I just fucking sick of it. I got a $500 ticket. Isn't that sick? you know, I had shit like this happen to me um a lot. I had a woman provoke me and almost slam a board into my belly when I was pregnant, and I poked her in her nose, and it just so happened our boss saw her provoke me, and I was able, and I got charged. I got taken to jail. I was pregnant and working, but not when I was in jail. But so I went to court, but I was smart enough to go in and start reading some of the law books, and I talked to the judge, and I had her um, uh, witnesses stay outside of the courtroom and testify one at a time to see if their stories would add up. And they didn't. And then I brought my witness in, which was my boss, that had seen the whole thing, and then I was released. And I could have countercharged her with false charges, but I didn't because she also had children. So, anyway. So, yeah, liars, huh? But, oh, she didn't like it when I poked her in her nose. I did too, and it was red when I was done too, fucking bitch. It goes a lot deeper too, but with this thing that thought she was a woman or something, one of them. But and no, she wasn't beautiful, or it had nothing to do with no jealousies. I'm not like that. It's always been the other way around in my life. If a woman can keep up with my exuberance and other qualities that I have, or even if she has her own that are so awesome, that's the way we connect closely. If you can't keep up with that, I don't need it around. And it has nothing to do with jealousy. It never has. And if a woman ever wanted my man, I might. One time with my kid's dad, we were walking through a parking lot, looking at a couple of women, and I pulled a quarter out of my pocket and I said to them ladies, I go, I'll give you a quarter if you want to buy him. I said, actually, I will pay you to take him. And they started just laughing. He was so fucking pissed, you know, because I even taught my sons, whether they did it or not, to lower your gaze. You don't have the right to just up and up Google some woman. That's uncomfortable. It's nasty. Men can control themselves if they want to. I mean, they would have to want to. If they have to take a second look every time, hey, have at it without me, you know? So that's how I roll. And if I'm never going to be a cheater. I'll leave your ass first. It's just like with Doug, although I gave him a letter of divorcement. If I wanted a relationship with somebody, I would go divorce him first. And I would even tell him, I would be straight up the most honest thing on this planet that you have ever met. That's me. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to let this go. I hope you're having a really beautiful day. I sort of am. My hands are cold, but what is it? Cold hands, warm heart. So, all right, everybody, peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.